What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of the Premier League Spur-Spective, where we take a review on the Premier League games. We do have an extra bit of games this week, as there was midweek football. There's a bit of a double game week this week. The way it works is we go by game, give a review, and as well we take into account our predictions from Predict the Prem, where we have a scoring between me and my brother, which at the moment is 252 to Simeon, 224 to me. And the way the scoring works, it is 5 points for a correct scoreline, 3 points for a correct result, both teams to score, 1 point for a correct result, and the star man as well, where me and my brother pick one man each week, 2 points for a goal, 1 point for an assist. So let's get into it, and let's start off with the Friday night game, which was Brighton against Crystal Palace. Sim went 2-2, I went 1-1. It did finish 1-1, so 3 points goes Simeon's way, 5 points goes my way. Did you watch any of this?
I didn't watch any of it, but I can just say, another late goal from Brighton. How many times they do this? Every time they get a late equaliser or a late winner.
Late goal conceded by Palace.
Yeah, that's true. So it was only a natural it's going to happen. It happened in the first game, I remember, between the two as well, early in the season. Same thing. Palace were in the lead and Maupay got a late goal, so shouldn't be surprised. But more good stuff for Potter in terms of being unbeaten. Again, although they didn't win, still not losing. It's such a hard team to play against and hard team to beat, which we'll go into later. Yeah, good result for Palace as well to get the draw. So I think both teams probably be happy with the draw.
Yeah. I think. When these two teams face each other, it is most likely a draw, because both of these teams, it's a massive derby for them. Both of them just don't want to lose the game, and you can see it on the pitch. You can see it with the fans. The atmosphere that night was brilliant inside the Amex, and it was a good game of football, to be honest. But let's move on to the Saturday games. Man City against Chelsea, which was the big one of the weekend. It finished 1-0 to Manchester City. I went for 2-1. You went for 1-1. So you don't get a point. I get 1 point on the board here. But yeah, it was fairly comfortable for Man City, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had control of the game. Chelsea obviously had a couple of moments on the break, didn't they? Lukaku went through one moment, and he wasn't able to make the most of it. Ederson makes a good save. But other than that, Man City were well in control, and that win really puts them so far ahead in the table now. I really didn't believe they were going to run away with it at the beginning of the season, but especially after they missed out on Kane, I was like, are they going to go another season with no striker and run away with it again? But it seems that way. Obviously Liverpool have games in hand, but Chelsea, they don't seem up to it. They don't seem to have the consistency, and Liverpool obviously got to catch up, but they've also dropped some silly points. And City just seem like a machine at the moment. And great goal from De Bruyne as well. Brilliant finish from him, who hasn't had, by his standards, the best of seasons. But maybe that's a sign of things picking up again for him.
Yeah, now the Premier League, I think, out of all the big leagues, have the biggest gap from 1 to 2nd out of
surprising
all the league, which is mad when you think about it, because when you came into this season, you had Man United, who just finished 2nd last year, bring in Varane and Ronaldo. Everyone's like, oh, they're going to be in a title challenge this year. Chelsea, on the back of winning the Champions League, they looked like a real force coming into this season. You're thinking they're going to have a tilt for the title this year. Both of us predicting Chelsea to win the title this year. Then you got Liverpool, who you thought were going to come back strong after all their injury problems last year, which they have. And you got Man City as well, who've just been a steam train over the past 5 years. So everyone was coming into this season thinking you're going to have a 4-horse race for the title this season. But now we're in January and it looks like there's only one winner.
Yeah, at the moment, unless they start dropping some serious points, and when they're beating their rivals, though, it's hard to see anyone catching up.
Yeah, it's true. We move over. Burnley against Leicester was postponed. Newcastle.
Classic Burnley.
Yeah, classic Burnley. Newcastle, Watford finished 1-1 on the day. I went for 2-2, so I get 3 points. You went for 2-1 to Newcastle, so you don't get any points. But what did you make out of this one?
Late goal there for João Pedro, giving Watford a really good point there for them. Newcastle will be very disappointed. Chris Wood making his debut, didn't get on the score sheet, so Maximum scored a really nice goal. And the game was there for them, to be honest. But they didn't put the game to bed, and Watford came back strong late in the game. Ranieri's celebration suggested he thought it was a massive point right at the end. And I guess it was, considering they don't want Newcastle to, push and pull away from them, do they? It's a big relegation scrap. So it's a point neither side will be happy with, but it's also a point which neither side can say, like, it keeps both sides in the relegation race, doesn't it? So
I think that Watford will be the happier of the two, and I think Ranieri's kind of reaction to it told that. But I think Newcastle really need to pick up some points, pick up some wins if they're gonna beat this drop, to be honest. And they're spending a lot of money in this January transfer window. Do you think they're gonna save themselves?
yeah, I think they will.
Who do you think is going down?
Well, Burnley are 5 games in hand, so it's hard to say exactly how they're going to fare. But I think Norwich, despite a win against Everton, I think a very poor Everton, I think they'll be nailed on. I think that win will be kind of a one-off and not a turn in their fortunes. I think it's tough to look beyond that. I mean, I think Newcastle, I think Watford will end up going down, even though they're outside the relegation zone.
I do think Burnley are going to end up going down this season. I just got a feeling.
It's kind of is between Burnley and Newcastle, unless Everton get dragged into it.
Newcastle nabbing Chris Wood off them, I think that's going to be massive.
Yeah,
in terms
you're
of
right.
the fight between.
If they don't replace Chris Wood, it'll be Burnley.
Yeah. But let's move on to the next game, which was Norwich against Everton, which finished 2-1 to Norwich, which sealed the fate of Rafa Benitez. He did get sacked the day after. I went for 2-1 to Everton. You went for 1-1. But credit to Norwich for grabbing a win here.
Yeah, good win for them. Second half, they had to stave off a bit of an onslaught. Richarlison got a really good bicycle kick goal to put them back in the game, but it wasn't enough. And that ends what is an absolute tumultuous tenure for Rafa Benitez at Everton.
A losing battle from the beginning, wasn't he?
He was. I thank him for his win against Arsenal. He done us a great service, but he leaves his head very low, unfortunately, with what was a terrible tenure. He was terrible throughout. I mean, Everton were terrible throughout pretty much most of it. Apart from, I think they started the season strong. I think they won 4 of their first 5 games, and everyone's like, okay, Rafa's doing well, but I don't think it's completely Rafa's fault because, Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin were out for a long periods of time. And it's like, that's basically like Kane and Son being out for Tottenham. Yeah. And imagine if Kane and Son being out, do you imagine us picking up too many wins? Probably not. So I do feel for him in that sense. But as you say, the fans were on his back from day one and they were looking for reasons.
They were actually on his back before day one.
Yeah, literally. And they were pretty much looking for reasons to turn on him, weren't they? And they found more than enough of them. Definitely. And so that's how it's ended. It'll be interesting to see who replaces him. They talk of Rooney. Ferguson's going to take temporary charge. But if it is Rooney, could Everton be dragged into it?
Yes.
Do you think they could?
I think they could, yeah. I think they could. When you're looking at the league table, right?
They're right in it at the moment.
Right in it. So I don't see why not. I really don't see why not.
Maybe Rooney can... Rooney's done okay at Derby.
He has done okay, but the Premier League's a level above, you know what I mean? I think they will save themselves in the end, but I think they're in a dogfight.
Rooney was playing last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, was he for Everton?
No, for
Derby.
Yeah,
he was. Yeah,
he didn't get into the Everton team.
probably to be honest. Get him back as player manager.
Yeah, that'll be fun. But yeah, they're out at the moment. They're 6 points clear of the drop with 2 games in hand, so they're kind of in it, but
long way to go.
Yeah,
long way to go. A lot of football to be played. Almost half a season to be played. So
true. Depends who you are.
Yeah.
If you're Burnley, a lot more than half a season to be played.
All right, let's move on to Wolves against Southampton. 3-1 on the day to Wolves. Both of us going for a 1-0 win, so only 1 point on the board for both of us for this one. Wolves back at it once again. Connor Cody getting on the score sheet. Adama Traore getting on the score sheet, which sent the Spurs Twitter sphere into raptures. But the goal of the day has got to go to Ward-Prowse. I mean, what a free kick that was.
Unbelievable. Not his usual whip of a free kick. He kind of knuckleballed it straight for, but what a goal that was. Right into the top corner with so much power, getting Southampton back in the game. But then obviously Adama Traore sealing the win late on. It was a really good finish from him, and funnily enough, he just missed an open goal like a few minutes before, which really sums him up, doesn't it? But another great win for Wolves, and look, under the radar, man. They are, although obviously there's loads of games in hand with all the teams and whatnot. They're 2 games in hand on West Ham and 6 points behind.
Yeah, it's mad.
So, if you're a Wolves fan, are you saying that we're in the top 4 race?
I would say European race, top 4.
Well, 6 points behind with 2 games in hand.
You've got to take the games in hand, and they've got the games in hand, you're saying.
Wolves have 2 games in hand on West Ham.
Same level games as us.
We got a game in hand on them.
Right.
and we're 5 points above.
Look, to be honest, if they keep plugging away, look, I think top 4 is going to come a stretch too far, but I think they can get Europa League. I really believe that.
Top 7, they got to be looking at. They're playing well, man.
Top 7.
They're playing well. If they can say injury free.
You know how I've been banging on about Wolves all season. I've been impressed with them, even when they were losing all their games at the start of the season. They were playing good football. So I've been very impressed with Bruno Lager and the football that he's spewing up there at Wolves. So
very solid team.
Credit to him, man. Credit to him.
Although 3 goals, that's a rarity. They've only scored 17 all season.
I know. All right, let's move over to Aston Villa against Manchester United. We finished 2-2. Sim going 2-1, so he doesn't get his 2-2 this week. I went 2-1 as well. But this was really a game of two halves. I mean, watching this game, I thought Man United were absolutely brilliant in the first half, and I thought it was the best they've been under Rangnick. Definitely one of the best they've performed all season. But chucked it away in that second half. They just didn't come out of the blocks. I know they scored another goal to put it 2-0 up late, kind of with 20 minutes to go. But I just think that they just didn't get out of the blocks second half, and Villa just pulverised them in that second half. Yeah,
and obviously Philip Coutinho coming on, changing the game for them. New signing for Aston Villa. Luca Dean, I thought, actually had an impressive debut as well. So that's a good sign for Villa on that aspect. Do you think they're looking at the moment, they're currently sitting still 13th at the moment. So I think they've probably given themselves too much to do in terms of a fight for Europe. But do you see things changing for them?
How many points are they from Wolves?
Wolves, 8.
8.
And same games played.
Same games played. Look, there's half a season to go. There's half a season to go. We've seen gaps like this been diminished before, and if Villa carry on the way they're going, maybe they won't get there, but they put themselves in a bit of a fighting chance, in my opinion.
Well, it's 1 win in 5 though for them now. 3 defeats there. So Gerrard has the form has slipped a bit, but with Coutinho and Digne there,
they've made some really good signings. They're talking about bringing in Suarez at the end of the season.
Yeah, that would be something.
The band back together.
That would be something. But Coutinho looks like it could be a smart buy, judging on his debut. But we all know with Coutinho, he's a bit of a streaky player, isn't he? Yeah. So we'll see how that pans out. It was a very good debut for him. Scored with him, got a goal and assist as a sub, didn't he? But United letting it slip despite Bruno putting them 2-0 up, and they'll might live to regret that.
Definitely. Let's move on to Liverpool against Brentford, the first of the Sunday games. Finished 3-0 to Liverpool on the day. Sim went for 2-1. I went for 3-1. So both of us getting a point there for the Liverpool win. I didn't see much of the game, but I was so surprised Jota didn't get on the score sheet with a 3-0 win there.
Yeah, no Salah, no problem, apparently. Look, Brentford are the perfect team, I think, for Liverpool in this kind of situation, because they're kind of...
Especially away from home.
Yeah, they're a fearless team, Brentford, so they're always going to be open against Liverpool. So it kind of, unlike Arsenal on Thursday, who sat very, very deep and pretty much said to Liverpool, look, you don't have Mane on Salah, try break us down. And they couldn't. Brentford are different. They're always going to try and play their way, and they're going to be attacking, and they're going to throw caution to the wind. And unfortunately, because they don't really have the players, a lot of the times, especially in these games, they'll come unstuck. So I don't think this is the game to judge Liverpool without Salah and Mane. They'll have tougher games.
I think the game against Arsenal in the first leg, you saw how much they missed both of them.
Yeah.
For all the dominance that they had playing against 10 men. If Salah or Mane, or definitely Salah, was playing that game, I think they win that game. Like you can see, like you said before, taking out Salah and Mane out of Liverpool is like taking out Kane and Son for us.
Yeah, but they have better.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
No, of course it is. Of course it is. But look, they did get a pretty convincing win against Brentford. Good for them. It's a good win, and obviously their defence haven't lost any defensive players, so they're still going to be very strong in that aspect. But we'll see how they fare later on in the month. I mean, I don't know how many twin had. They might be back after the next game, so they looks like might have staved off the worst of it. Well, obviously they got tonight in the Carabao, but good win for Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely. Moving over to West Ham against Leeds, which finished 3-2 to Leeds at the London Stadium. Both of us going for 2-0 to West Ham. Much to our delight, it did finish 3-2 to Leeds, and I thought Leeds were breathtaking.
Brilliant game, wasn't it?
Really good game of football. I thought West Ham were lucky to get those 2 goals, to be fair. I thought Leeds were by far the better side. Harrison scoring a hat-trick on the night as well. But to be fair to West Ham, Jared Bowen, man, keeps pulling out the goals.
Yeah, another couple goals for him, wasn't it, for Jared Bowen? And
he scored 1, yeah.
He scored what? Oh, did you get an assist for the other one then?
No, Antonio got the assist for Fornals.
Oh, okay, but he's still scoring, isn't he?
Yeah.
Got the goal from a corner with the header. But it was a weird one, wasn't it? Because they just kept coming back, West Ham, but Leeds just kept getting back ahead. And Harrison with a hat trick, you wouldn't really associate him with that many goals, but Really decent hat-trick from him. Rafinha, I thought, was exceptional throughout the game. I thought he was brilliant. So
player he is.
yeah,
Man.
I mean, I wish
love him at Spurs.
Yeah, unfortunately now,
absolutely love him.
in the summer, I would say his price was 50. Now it's probably a lot more than that.
Yeah, 70 or something.
Yeah, so whether we are ever going to put that sort of fee on him, I doubt it. I reckon he could go to, like, maybe whenever Salah leaves, he can go to Liverpool or something like that. He's that good, I think. He could, if he goes to a bigger team, he would star. A bit like Mane, how he was good at Southampton, but if you put him in a bigger team, he could explode.
Totally agree, yeah.
And he showed that again. But damaging defeat for West Ham, really damaging, considering their hopes for top four. You know, they were talking themselves up as top four challengers, weren't they? Throughout the season, whenever
I believe that, to be honest.
Yeah, and whenever they really need to result and need to be consistent, they stumble, and they stumble at very crucial times. And even though they're currently sitting in fourth, it's a fake position, I think.
Yeah, they're so Jekyll and Hyde at the moment. I mean, one week they win, one week they lose, the next week they win, the next week they lose. I mean, they don't have any real consistency about them at the moment.
And the way Leeds have been playing this season, you can't be losing to them at home if you're serious about top four challenging. So. They are still top four, but we do have 3 games in hand with 1 point behind, so we could draw those 3 games and be above them.
Yeah. All right, let's move over to the North London derby. Arsenal
ran away.
They literally ran away, scared of the sight of playing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You know,
Tottenham nil, Arsenal shit themselves.
Literally, I mean, I never actually had my say on this because I was out when you were doing the videos, but I just thought it was a disgrace from Arsenal to get this game called off. The only reason they got this game called off was due to bad planning. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. Just due to bad planning. I think it's a joke from them to get it, to try and get it postponed. Even more of a joke for the Premier League to accept it.
I put more blame on the Premier League, say they're the ones ultimately who hold the cards, don't they? They can accept or reject it.
I don't understand on what grounds they're letting them postpone this game.
Because they changed the rules for COVID to say that if you have less than 12 players available, you can ask for the game to be postponed if COVID is a factor. And because they had one COVID case, they can claim COVID is a factor.
You know, so if we have one COVID case and we suddenly go, oh, you know what? Let's loan out all the shit players in our squad. Let's loan them out, and let's just call off every game until we get more players in.
I mean, it's not the smartest strategy, but you could do it, I guess.
You know what I mean? But like, that's what you can do with these rules. It's ridiculous.
I think it's ridiculous. Arsenal, they were able to do that.
4 AFCON players. They loaned 2 players out the day before the game. They loaned another player out the day after the game.
They cancelled a player's contract 2 days after, Kolasinac. They cancelled his contract.
And Xhaka as well gets sent off.
Yeah, that's also part of the reason, yeah.
It's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous.
The whole thing was a joke. But it's the Premier League's fault.
But they gave us a bit of rest, and we flourished for that last night.
Exactly. So they might be kicking themselves later. And to be honest, look how I saw it in terms of from a point of view of winning the game. I wasn't that bothered about it being postponed, honestly, because we're going to have Dyer back. We'll have Son back when we play them next. I was just pissed off that Arsenal were able to get away with it.
Yeah. Exactly the same as my feeling, to be honest. But I'm looking forward to playing them with Sonny, Romero, Dyer, and maybe a few
bring
new
them on.
Exactly.
I don't mind it being postponed from that perspective.
Bring them on, and not only that, but it's going to be under the lights in a nighttime game at White Hart Lane now.
Exactly.
It's going to be a feisty atmosphere. I'm looking forward to it. Let's move over to the midweek games. Burnley, Watford. Burnley postponed yet another game, which is ridiculous.
They're literally on 17 games.
It's madness. It's madness.
They haven't hit Christmas yet.
Brighton, Chelsea finished 1-1. Both of us going for Chelsea wins.
And
another Brighton, and look, another equaliser for Brighton. Not as late as it usually is for Brighton. This one coming on the 60th minute from Webster. But Chelsea really stuttering at the moment.
Another draw for them. And they drew to Brighton, a couple of weeks ago, 1-1. Yeah. Very similar game. Chelsea kind of got a lead out of nothing, Ziyech capitalising on a mistake from the keeper. And they didn't really deserve to be 1-0 up, but they just got out of nothing. Brighton fully deserved the equaliser. They got it from... they're just like the game early in the bridge. Brighton fully deserved the draw that day, and they deserved it this time. They got the draw for the corner. But Brighton were the ones dominating possession. I wouldn't say they created loads of chances, but they were the ones in control of the game, and they deserved that equaliser. And if anyone was going to win it, it looked like it was going to be Brighton. So fair play to them. Another great performance and a good result for them.
Yeah.
And Chelsea, as you said, I think
up to them.
I think Chelsea have drawn something 5 games out of the last 8 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like along those lines. They're really struggling. And as you say, we are now 8 points behind with 4 games in hand. So we could lose one and still have more games in hand. So it's interesting to see how that's going to play out.
We can get a result there this weekend.
Then if we get a draw there, man, great result.
Yeah. Spurs, Leicester at the King Power last night. Finished 3-2, obviously. I went 1-1. Sim went 1-0 to Spurs, so you get a point there. I think we've covered this game to death, but I'm not tired of talking about it.
Stevie Bergwijn, come on.
I'm not tired of talking about this one. Steven Bergwijn at the death, 2 goals, 94th and 96th minute, whatever it was. Absolutely unbelievable scenes at the King Power. And I loved every second of that last night.
Yeah, unbelievable game. Brilliant result in terms of the context of our season and the league table as well. It just couldn't have gone any better yesterday, could it? And it was a season-defining, hopefully game-changing win, squad-building win as well. And in the circumstances of how it happened, it just was absolutely iconic and electric. So I'm going to go home and watch some more highlights, I think, after this.
Definitely. I'm going to join you. Last game of the weekend was Brentford against Manchester United. Didn't see much of it because the Spurs game was on at the same time. Man U won 3-1. You got 2-1, so you get 3 points. I went 1-1, so 0 points for me there. I didn't see much of it. Did you see any highlights or anything?
Yeah, I've seen the highlights, and also I saw some of the stats. And it seemed like Brentford had, especially in the first half, had much the better of the game, and were really unfortunate to go in at half time, or was it 1-0 at half time? No, they went in at half time 0-0, and it should have been at least 2-0. The chances they created, De Gea kept them in the game. Then second half,
having a brilliant season.
He is. He really is. How many times we've said that De Gea kept them in the game. And then second half, United came into it, showed a bit of their quality. They got their 3 goals.
Greenwood and Rashford back on the score sheet as well.
And Langer as well getting the goal.
Yeah, he looks like a good little player, doesn't he?
The young player who they're giving an opportunity. He seems to be grabbing it. So fair play to him. Look, I would call it another unconvincing win for Rangnick. But look, they showed their quality and they did change it in the second half. So fair play.
Yeah. And now Man United and Arsenal are level on points, actually, in 6th and 7th, with Arsenal having a game in hand there.
And we're a point above United with 2 games in hand.
Yeah, which is mad. Which is mad. Right. It's mad when you think about it, because you're coming into the season. Spurs have got Nuno after 71 days. Man United are coming into it with Ronaldo, Varane,
Sancho.
It's like an all-star squad with Man United, quite literally. And people are talking about, United finished 2nd last year. Maybe they can go one better and win the title. But it's all fallen apart for them this season. It's mad. But let's move over to the star men. I went for Jota, who got 0 goals, 0 assists. Sim probably got the player of the weekend in Harry Kane. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Goal and assist. You're probably annoyed he didn't get more.
Yeah, he should have got more. I was a bit annoyed, but I wasn't thinking about the star man at the time. To be honest, I was annoyed because I picked Kane for star man because he had 2 games and one of them got chalked off. I was all right. Yeah, look, I knew Leicester. He loves King Power Stadium, so it was a good pick for me.
All right, so that draws an end to the Premier League Spur-Spective this week. What are the scores? Just bring up the scores.
264 to 2-5.
264 to 235 is the final scores of this week.
29 points gap.
We'll be back tomorrow for Predict the Prem, where we go around all the predictions again before international break. Can't believe there's another international break, by the way.
I can't bothered.
But yeah, this is the last weekend before the international break. Spurs take on Chelsea at Stamford Bridge yet again this month. So keep your eyes peeled for that content coming your way tomorrow. That is our Premier League perspective. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.